Is now the time for Leon Rose, Worldwide Wes, and Tom Thibodeau to push their chips to the middle and make a big-time trade. We're going to break that down on today's show as you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. We did a video a couple weeks back of 6 players that ESPN listed as New York Knicks trade candidates. You guys loved that video. So I'm going to do another video today. 5 players that Marshall Green thinks the Knicks could trade for. None of the players are the ones in the 6, so you're getting 5 brand new players. I do think that now is the time for the New York Knicks to make a trade. They are right on the brink of becoming an apron team with their salary cap. You bring back OG Anunoby, you bring back Isaiah Hartenstein, you pick up the $20 million this year for Bojan Bogdanovic, you're going to be an apron team. And that's going to make trading for that next player that much more difficult. And that's why I think now is the time to punch your tickets to a blockbuster trade. And you got all the trade assets in the world. You got 2 first-round picks in 2024, 4 potentially in 2025. You got 8 tradable first-round picks, and you got 11 total first-rounders in the next 7 years. As much as I think running it back is the smart idea, I just think that with the way the Knicks have gone about things, if you do run it back, you're going to make it extremely hard on yourself to trade for a player down the line, as you are going to be an apron team. First player I want to talk about on today's show is someone that we spent a lot of time talking about at the NBA trade deadline. That's Dejounte Murray, the do-it-all guard for the Atlanta Hawks. There's a lot of talk right now down in Atlanta. Shut up, T. Scott. But there's been a lot of talk between the Hawks about do they roll with Dejounte Murray? Are they going to roll with Trae Young? I think one of those guys is for sure going to be traded. I think Trae Young is more likely to be traded, but if Dejounte Murray is on the trade block, I think the Knicks should give them a call. And I think that they should see what the price of doing business should be. He's 6'4". He's still extremely young, and he provides a lot of what I think the New York Knicks are missing. They need a guy that can control the offense, the pace, the flow, that can score, that can create for others when Jalen Brunson is not on the floor. The New York Knicks are 14 points worse per 100 possessions when Brunson is sitting down compared to on the court. So they need somebody that can keep this offense afloat in the non-Jalen Brunson minutes. And Dejounte Murray, he could do that. I think that when people think about Dejounte Murray, they have this fixated image and player profile of what he does in their head already preconceived. And I don't think that it's right most of the time. And I think it's based off of prior seasons. Dejounte Murray is a really, really good player, guys. He can create his own shot. He can create for others. He averaged over 6 assists the last 2 years. 9 assists in 2021. And every single year, that three-point shot is getting better. 31.7% to 32.7%, from 34.4% to 36.3%. If the Atlanta Hawks have decided that they want to move on from Trae Young, then you won't be able to trade for Dejounte Murray. If they want to trade Dejounte Murray and build around Trae Young, I think the Knicks should see what it costs. They need another shot creator. They need another floor general. One of my favorite parts about adding Dejounte Murray to this team would be you would have 48 minutes of high-end point guard play. We saw the Indiana Pacers do that with McConnell and Halliburton, even Nembhard running the show some. That goes a long time. That goes a long way, excuse me. I think Murray would be a really, really good addition for the New York Knicks. If you're unable to get Murray and you're looking at the forward position, I think that Brandon Ingram could be a guy that the New York Knicks look to target as well. Ingram is a player that I think could be going for a relatively cheap cost compared to other players of his talent on the open market. And I think that that's something that the New York Knicks could be interested in. 6'8". The Knicks need another wing. They need another guy that can put it on the deck. They need another guy that can score. And if you could add a 6'8" wing that can do all of those things, who is still not even in the prime of his career yet, I think it makes a lot of sense. Some worries that I have about Ingram are, is he a Tom Thibodeau guy, and will he be able to be someone that is consistently available? You look at the games played over the last 4 years for Brandon Ingram, 61, 55, 45, and 64. Look, if you give me 60 games a year, I'm totally cool with that. But, man, like when you talk about talent and you talk about fit for the Knicks, I think Brandon Ingram makes a lot of sense. He's a 20-point-per-game scorer. He's highly efficient. He's shot over 46% each of the last 4 seasons. He can knock it down from deep consistently. And he's someone that is one of the most underrated playmakers in the NBA as well. You see each of the last 3 seasons, he's averaged over 5.5 assists per game. He's one of the best in the NBA when it comes to points per possession when being a pick-and-roll ball handler. And I think adding a guy that's 6'8" that can handle the rock and create for others and let Brunson operate a little bit more off ball and go back to that catch-and-shooting demon that he is, it makes a whole lot of sense. Brandon Ingram is someone that I think the Knicks should target. Because if you could add a starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Brandon Ingram, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein, it's one of the most talented starting fives in the league. I also think that you're one of the biggest starting fives in the league. 6'8" Ingram, 6'8" OG, 6'9" Julius Randle, and 7 feet tall Isaiah Hartenstein. Ingram has pretty much the skill set of a guard, so I'm not worried about him being that 2 guard. We talked about his ability to create for others, averaging over 5.5 assists. Ingram is someone that I think makes a lot of sense for the New York Knicks, and I don't think that you'd have to give up Randle to get him. I think that you can get him for a pick package, and I think that the New Orleans Pelicans are motivated to move him this offseason. Another player that I want to spend some time on in today's video is Lauri Markkanen, the sharp shooting power forward, from the Utah Jazz. I just like the way he plays the game, man. I think that he would be a perfect fit for the New York Knicks roster-wise. You get a power forward that could space the floor, can create on the perimeter for himself, extremely athletic, underrated when it comes to the athletic ability that he possesses. He's someone that can rebound the basketball pretty well, and he's a 7-footer and he weighs 240 pounds. He can play some small ball 5, but he's really more of a power forward. This is a guy that's really come into his own each of the last 2 seasons. In 2022, his first year in Utah, he averaged 25.5 points per game, 8 boards, 49% from the field, and 39% from 3. Adding another guy that's 7 feet tall and can shoot 39% from 3 would be a major addition to the New York Knicks. Like, let's be honest, this team needs another scorer. They need another engine to this offense. They need a guy that when Brunson sits down, they can run the offense through, and Lauri Markkanen fits that bill. The question is, can you find a way to trade for Lauri without giving up Julius Randle? I'm not so sure that's possible. I think that Randle would have to be involved in that trade. I also don't know how he would be able to play on this team if you kept Randle. Are you going to run Markkanen at the 5 with Randle at the 4 and have no rim protection? Are you going to run with Hartenstein at the 5, Markkanen at the 3, Randle at the 4, OG at the 2? I worry about the ball handling there. I just think that Randle is probably a better player, and he's a better just overall player than Lauri Markkanen. But I think it's fair to say that Markkanen may be a better fit for the New York Knicks. And if there's anything I've learned after watching over 170 games of the New York Knicks the last 2 seasons, sometimes fit is more important than talent. I'm just not sure if I would do it. Would you? Pick a player. Who would you rather be the starting small forward for the New York, starting power forward for the New York Knicks next season? I apologize. Who do you want to be the starting power forward next year? Is it Julius? Is it Lauri? Let me know in the comment section. We'll get to more players coming up in a second, but first I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS, and Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 player, and you simply choose more or less on those projected stat line. NBA Finals is going on right now, and that is the time to get hooked up with Prize Picks. Play Prize Picks during the NBA Finals, or get your lineups in for the NFL season. They've already got some season-long plays for you to make on the NFL. I'm going to select more on 8.75 sacks for Brian Burns this year, and I'm also going to select more than 8.5 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. That's all you do. You pick more, you pick less, you play Prize Picks. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS. And the best daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks, will match your first deposit up to $100. All right, the next player that I want to talk about on today's show is Kyle Kuzma. Shout out to the CAA Mafia. Not my favorite trade candidate, someone that I would be very weary of adding, But when you talk about a guy that could potentially come off the bench, play some small forward, play some power forward, give you some offensive production, can stretch the floor and attack the basket off the bounce while being an underrated defender at 6'10", I think Kuzma could make some sense. I'm not trading Randle for him. This would be a trade where I'm giving up maybe Bogey and Deuce, Bogey and picks, something like that. I would want Kuzma to be that power forward, small forward to come off the bench for whenever Randle's hurt or whenever OG and Obi is hurt as well. Kuzma is a good scorer. Like, it just is what it is at this point. 3 years in a row, averaging over 17 points per game. And the last 2 years, averaged over 20 points per game, over 21 points per game. The only thing that I don't really love about Kuzma is he doesn't shoot it with the elite numbers from downtown. The last 2 years, shooting just 33%. I wonder if that's more so just because of the shot quality he's taking and because he is that go-to option for a bad Washington Wizards team. He takes some bad shots. But if he played in a team that had more structure, that had more of a reliance on other players to create, he would take smarter shots and he would make those shots as well. The guy's a scorer. I think the Knicks need another scorer. If you could add Kuzma and have him come off the bench while keeping Randle, I think that could make some sense. Another guard I want to talk about is Malcolm Brogdon. He was someone I really wanted the Knicks to trade for at the deadline. I think he fits the bill exactly of what they lack. I think a backcourt of McBride and Brogdon could be very appealing for the New York Knicks. Brogdon can be that backup point guard at 6'5". He averaged over 5.5 assists last year. He could score it as well, giving you 15 points a night. And if you could have a bench unit of Brogdon, McBride, you bring back Mitchell Robinson, and you add a small forward somewhere, I think that could make a lot of sense. Something that I do worry about with Brogdon is the fact that he's missed a lot of time as well, playing just 39 games last year, just 67 games the year before, 36 the year before that, and 56 the year before that. But in each of the last 2 seasons, he has shot better than 44% from 3 and 41% from 3. He's also averaged 5.5 assists last year, 3.7 the year before that, 5.9 the year before that, and 5.9 the year before that. A guy that can come in, run your offense, create for themselves, create for others, could make a lot of sense. And Brogdon, I don't think that you would have to give up too much for. The Portland Trail Blazers are in a spot where they need to add draft picks, and they need to add young talent. If you could go Bogey and a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, 2 protected first-round picks, something along those lines, I think Malcolm Brogdon would be a good addition for the New York Knicks. We've gone over 5 trade targets in today's video. Just take off that L3, yeah. Let me know, who out of these 5 would you like to see the New York Knicks trade for? I want to hear from you. Who do you want to see the Knicks trade for of these 5 players? Is it Dejounte Murray? Is it Brandon Ingram? Is it Lauri Markkanen? Is it Kyle Kuzma or Malcolm Brogdon? I want to hear from you in the comment section. Let me know. And make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Hit me up over there, and let's go Knicks!